dark nexus. It is mine to wield, to control.
Howdy YouTube, this is Kyle Fergusson from Into the Nexus podcast, and today we're going to talk about the new Call for Help anomaly in Heroes of the Storm. There have been some changes to attack priority, and if you know how to use them, you might succeed in this season a little better than if you're out there getting wailed on by a brand new tower update. But there's some oddities here, so sit back and get ready, because we're going to run them down, and do some theory crafting on the back end. Now, in addition to our shiny new Tassadar here, we have this tower update, which, without an enemy hero present, isn't going to look very different outside of these little laser beams that the tower set up. Currently, that tower is aggroed by that minion, and there is a bit clearer of a distinction as to which minion it's going to attack. Otherwise, everything is perfectly normal at this phase. When we get an enemy hero involved, that's when things are going to start to get interesting, and these towers are going to get rather mad at you for hitting their ally. When we talk about cannon towers, forts, and keeps and their damage, we're of course talking about physical damage. The same sort of thing that an auto attack supplies, the same sort of thing that an auto attack from a minion, hero, mercenary, monster supplies. However, the armor reduction up to that 40% maximum is actually all armor, including spells. There's physical armor and there's spell armor. Generic armor is both of those. So you are going to take more damage from auto attacks, physical attacks, and spell damage attacks. AoEs, whiz-biz, as you know it. The cannon towers, these front ones along the wall, are going to decrease armor by 5 per attack, so 10 if you get hit by 2 at the same time. And forts and keeps are going to reduce enemy hero armor by 10 per attack, stacking up to that maximum of 40. Forts and keeps no longer slow heroes. This is because they're doing 10% more damage, and you don't really need the CC, as a CC hero can now supply a greater defense in range of towers than they previously could, particularly if the enemy can't control themselves and they hit that hero allied with the building. Now, until you get in target range, you're not going to notice anything unless there's an enemy hero present. And I can even get on this tower, I can go storm this guy, but the second I touch this enemy hero, this building's going to be permanently mad at me until I leave that zone. Now I can once again clear forward, avoiding touching an allied hero as much as possible to make sure that when I get in range, these towers aren't mad at me. And it's only one at a time. If I go down here, that other one doesn't have the old priority. It is the top one that is mad at me for attacking its ally, the target dummy, here on the map. But these towers are not picky, and they don't have any range in mind. If you attack one of their allies, no matter where it is on the map, they are going to get very mad at you until you break the leash, leave their range. So in this case, even if we set up a target dummy, let's say all the way back here, if we get in tower range, and we go back here and throw a storm on it, I am currently damaging their ally, and that'll stay mad at me, the tower, until I leave its range again. You can also see here that since I'm using Psionic Storm, a damage over time AoE, as long as it's dealing any damage back there, these towers are going to target me up next. Now I'm clear, because we're no longer doing that AoE damage to its ally. And this isn't only for spells or AoE effects. If I have any damage going into a hero allied with the structure, these buildings are going to be mad at me. So we got a dot here with our Lunara. Both these buildings are immediately mad. We need to reset back. That's okay if we can control ourselves. The real danger is something popular like Splinter Spear splits an attack into 3 bursts. And those make their own choices about where they go. Granted, we know they're a little cone-shaped and that I can control myself a little bit here, but any dot damage anywhere is going to cause these buildings to be very mad at me for its duration and until we leave range again. We can't always control exactly where those attacks are going to go, so there's a lot more danger associated not only with our poison characters, but characters who have auto-targeting bounce attacks are ricochets, like Tracer or Maiev and characters of that nature. This is going to leave a lot of our old specialists, our old lane pushers, a little vulnerable, and this also applies to all their summons. If you're dealing any damage to a hero allied with the structure will be mad at you, and that doesn't change with summons. So here we're pushing out the lane, we got our Zagara, we're even taking bonus trouble here by taking Medusa Blades, which might accidentally split onto our enemy target, but otherwise we're playing a pretty normal game, and maybe we throw a Hydra on that allied hero. And guess what? Until that Hydra is done and we break range, those buildings are going to continue to be mad at you for the duration of your time in their range. And as I mentioned, these do not have a range associated with them, so if we were to load up a hero with all of my summons and then make our way, let's say here, into the top lane, these buildings, supplied by their anger from the middle hero we've been attacking, will still continue to have aggro. Which leads us on to our next thought, gaming the system. If any damage caused to an allied hero causes their towers to become angry for them, well then all an enemy has to do is take a little bit of damage, even accidentally, to make sure that their hero is being prioritized by the nearby building. If I'm pushing in here, I might be able to control myself and just auto-attack this one, but Medusa Blades is currently causing me to attack the nearby hero. What if our target dummy decided, what if our hero, our enemy hero, decided to catch, purposefully, a Baneling that was flying at the building? What if they were to go stand inside an AoE? A blizzard is coming down, and they decide to stick a toe in it and cause the building to get mad. This becomes particularly troublesome when we think about some of our old summoner favorites, like a Nubarak here, who traditionally is able to dive into every building he wants just because he's able to pop out a beetle and take that priority away with a summon. Now, if he does any damage, regardless of beetle spawnage, to a hero, those buildings are continued to lock on, and they are going to kill you very, very fast. Your spell armor isn't going to help you, certainly, and your shield isn't going to do a lot either once you have minus 40 armor. And so by nature of this, we need to greatly change how we interact with these buildings. If an enemy hero is running around, we control ourselves and make sure we do not attack the hero to the best of our abilities, even weaving around them to make sure that we can get rid of the buildings that are protecting them first before we go making a full-blown engagement. And now with tower diving off the menu and having to be so careful about any splash attacks, my first reaction is, well, what about those heroes that can avoid this update? What is going to happen with the already famous Sylvanas, who can turn off towers using her black arrow? What about Sindragosa Arthas? Does this mean we're going to see a huge uptick in the number of players who play Arthas in a solo lane bruiser style, avoiding ghouls for the tank ability and just bypassing it to bring Sindragosa in the field so we can all get up on those buildings? There's also one more hero who has easy peasy Dimensional Ripper at level 13, and that's Gazlowe. Gazlowe is also capable of turning off towers. Now, of course, his summons aren't going to take priority like they used to, but that means that his summons will not be burned down by the towers. Gazlowe making a push might be able to keep his turrets alive longer in a team fight situation because they won't be the target priority. Granted, someone else is taking those damage, a hero, and it could be quite dangerous. But Dimensional Ripper is one more option for us to turn off these buildings, play like we used to, dive the buildings, and Gazlowe hasn't had a game presence for quite a while, outside of a little bit of meme ability, and of course those Gazlowe mains out there who do bring the thunder, but it's a rare sight. Gazlowe might be a little bit of everywhere coming up. On the damage side of things, we're moving away from having just pure AoE to lane clear and get an enemy off a building. Now CC in range of towers is going to be extremely useful because they pack such a heavy punch with that minus armor and the 10% increased damage. Someone like ETC might be able to make a solo defense on a fort or keep. What about a level 20 Leoric landing an Entomb in range of our new Rocking Core abilities that on average do 5% max hero health and additional CC behind it. If the buildings aid their allies whenever they take damage, it's cute that you might be able to stick a toe in a flame strike, or walk into that blizzard or storm from the Tassadar, get a Hydra on you, take some poison damage from Lunara. You might be able to control yourself. You might be able to not take a talent that splits your attack. What about a taunt? What about Varian forcing you to attack him while in tower range? What about Garrosh? Does Garrosh need additional help getting kills? What danger are those heroes who can't really control their splash in? What about Anduin, who just wants to hit some heroes so that he can get a bigger heal for his allies? What about Diablo, who uses not only enemy buildings to make his stuns, but has the casual nature of throwing out a flame stomp, and one of these flames might fly out and just tickle a heel of an enemy hero, causing the entire line of buildings to get continually mad at him. He needs to bail. He needs to get out of range fast. Is Diablo capable of that? To accompany this armor change, the devs did go through and change up or fix some of our old physical armor talents that weren't working on minions, mercenaries, and monsters, as well as summons. So Johanna's level 1 talent Reinforce that supplies 60 physical armor previously did not work on towers. Now it does. That talent might be a lot more valuable if you want to be diving towers with Johanna. Plus you have a shield under it, so that's some pretty darn good effect. Kel'Thuzad's Armor of the Archlich also got upgraded to feature mercenaries, monsters, summons, structures, and minions. And Samuro's Deflect is the same way. Now there are plenty of older heroes that work this way already, like Yrel and her level 1 Dauntless. She was a special case, and now other heroes have been brought in line with her. Altogether, our core strategy of punishing heroes who think they're safe while in tower range hasn't changed. This is still going to be a great place for tanks to take picks off the enemy team, but we need to acknowledge that it's going to fundamentally change the way we interact with armor, and some heroes that have it on their base kit, like Blaze's Pyromania trait, that has 40 armor tied to it. You can negate the tower minus armor by using that ability now in tower range. Of course, Garrosh might gain a little bit more presence. Maybe a talent like Double Up is actually valuable because we can push beyond the limits of normal armor with that 40% in tow. We already talked about Johanna's Reinforce, but what about something on Arthas like Icebound Fortitude that provides 25 armor and many other fabulous effects? It seemed like we were just entering a world where Arthas might have some level 7 talent diversity. I saw a lot of Rune Tap, I certainly saw a lot of Immortal Coil, but Icebound Fortitude was always very good, particularly with Arthas' low mobility, and now supplying armor, it's probably even better than it was. Seemingly disconnected from this, Muradin's Dwarf Toss got 30 armor on it for 2 seconds. That 30 armor can supply you a number of tower shots while you get in deep, get the kill, and get out on the other side. Interestingly enough, Defensive Angels was recently changed on Tyrael and improved. Level 20 Tyrael might be able to go really deep, avoid Angel of Justice, still get a good judgment in, clear the hero, and get out. I'd say what about Mal'Ganis, but you should already be using Might of Sargeras. It's great, use Might of Sargeras, that's 50 armor while in those tower ranges. What about an oddball talent that I've always struggled to pick? Showstopper at level 16 for ETC. Power Slide supplies 35 armor. Now our normal trait provides 25 armor, so this talent has always seemed a little useless. But is this little bit of extra armor going to provide us talent diversity at level 16 for ETC? A lot of us were mourning the loss of a hero like Uther, but supplying armor is in hot supply. Uther might be really good again. And in that same vein, anyone supplying armor, whether it's a Yrel jumping nearby or your medic, might have greater presence in the game now. Of course, this is not a comprehensive list, and some heroes still have heroic-only armor, such as that supplied by Khazra'im's Earth ally. That will not be helping you out with buildings. So is every summoning hero going to suffer? If you took advantage of your summons to dive towers, well, yes. Using wisps, using totems, using chromie time traps, it's all not going to work out like it used to, particularly if you hit any enemy heroes. If you have splash damage, particularly tied to your summons like Asmodan, you're going to struggle getting those quick fort picks. Phoenix might struggle, unable to choose exactly who he's targeting with his various spells and abilities. Altogether, it's too early to say, but it's clear that there is now a defender's advantage when it comes to towers. And we're all going to have to be a lot more careful when we're making those investments around the forts, keeps, and cores because of those new special abilities. For personal opinion, it feels healthy. I like the idea that CC heroes can now stand up a decent defense, whereas before you had to make sure you had enough damage to actually scare off the enemy. For now, the best strategy is going to be to focus fire, stay calm, probably avoid those splash talents, and just burn down the building. Then once we're done with the building, we can get crazy. If you're not sure if you have the damage to finish the game, it is now the correct choice to go take that Merc camp, to go complete the objective before trying to end. But we will certainly see how this shapes up in future weeks. I'm excited to let you know how the stats look next week. Thank you for watching this video, and good luck out there during these new exciting times of call for help. I'd love to see in the comments below who you think is going to be the real winner and loser, which heroes are going to suffer the most, and which heroes are going to benefit the most in these coming weeks and for the next season. Don't forget, before you head out, like, subscribe, ring that bell here at Heroes Hearth for more Learn to Play videos for Heroes of the Storm. I was Kyle Fergusson, and I'll see you next week.